Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. This is a feel-good story in the I've worked in customer service before sort of way. Good job, OP. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I was finally able to say what I've always wanted to say. I'm usually the poor soul having to actually deal with these crazy customers. Last night, after a long shift at work, I stopped by a grocery store to grab a couple of things on my way home. Keep in mind, I'd spent all day dealing with rude customers, so I was already grumpy and ready to finish shopping so I can go home for some ice cream therapy. I was wearing my uniform, red polo and black pants, but I was also wearing a sweater, a purse, and had a grocery basket with me. I stop in front of the frozen food section and wonder if I have enough energy to cook, or should I just be lazy and grab something microwavable? As I'm pondering this important decision, I hear someone behind me clear their throat. Out of habit, I step to the side, assuming I'm in the way. Nope. Then I hear, "Oh my God, seriously?" This gets my attention, and I kind of glance over my shoulder, and there's this girl with her boyfriend, but right as I glance at her, she looks up annoyed at her boyfriend. Lovers quarrel, I assume, and walk down the aisle a little more. Nope, I was wrong again. Are you effing kidding me? I have a damn question. Isn't it like your job to be helping customers, or are you stupid or something? I stop. I turn to face this girl who's now standing with her hands on her hips with all the sense of entitlement in the world as her boyfriend looks away slightly embarrassed. And before I say anything, she continues on. I'm trying to find something that's out on the shelf, but I need... You can check if you have more in the back. I mean, you can at least handle that, right? Oh, hell no. I've had enough of this at my work today. I was not going to put up with this brat. First off, I don't effing work here. Second, even if I did, that's not how you ask someone a question. I don't know what sort of person you think you are that you can talk to people like that, but you're wrong. If you're asking someone to do something for you, there should be a please and thank you in there. So please leave me the hell alone. Thank you. I turned around, grabbed myself some Hot Pockets, and stormed away as she stuttered and tried to find a comeback. I seriously hate when customers think they can talk to workers however way they want. I'm so glad this time I was in the position to say something back, and to top it all off, the Hot Pockets were on sale. And our second story. Destroy your own dock. After graduating college, I took a summer job as Waterfront director for a summer camp. They were desperate for someone to fill the job. The director let me know I could have free use of the boats on off hours and even agreed to pay me more for travel. I was thinking of taking another job, but the friendly appeal tricked me into thinking this might be a rare opportunity. Things get weird the very first night I arrive. The staff arrived a few days early to get things set up for the kids. At night, we told stories and played games. The director, the only person technically in charge of me, is very into risk. He proceeds to claim more troops than I think the math accounts for on the basis of a technicality. I tried to calmly explain why I thought the rules stated things differently. It was sort of nerdy, but not a big deal. He flared up right as I tried to let it go. The same guy who almost begged me to take the job on the phone is now almost yelling at me. I try to let him finish his tirade before quietly repeating how I had literally just said it was fine. In retrospect, I might have done better if I'd accepted his charge of irrational overreaction. I avoid him because he seems a bit emotional. It's not hard to do. I'm understaffed, there's a ton to do, and some of my lifeguards can barely doggy paddle. Weeks pass. Campers come. Every morning and evening, we line up outside the mess hall to sing songs and do the camp stuff. Some of our CITs, counselors in training, are under 18. Some of them stay up late and don't show up on time in the morning. I don't miss anything. I make friends with another director who I bunk with. One evening around lineup, I run into him and his stress level is boiling over. Apparently his staff is even less qualified than mine. One of his CITs somehow ended up throwing rocks at some of the campers. The camp director didn't let us fire the CIT because we were understaffed, so I decided that calming the other area director down is more important than one lineup. The camp director seems to take it as a personal insult that I miss lineup. We haven't had any more kerfuffles, but his attitude reads like he's looking for trouble. When I went off duty that night and check in to let him know that I'm going into town to pick up some personal food as a variation from the cheapest Aramark menu repeated every week, he tells me I'm not allowed to leave because I missed lineup. He talks over me repeatedly when I try to speak. He implies he doesn't care about the emotional well-being of his staff. The only reason I didn't quit right there was because we had only 2 weeks left and I needed the money. Last week of camp, we finally get the new docs the camp director has told me we'd get the first week. As far as I can tell, the director has said many conflicting things about when the docs are arriving. I suspect he neglected to order them on time. Anyways, we have mere days of camp left when they arrive. The director demands I use my off time to install the docks with my staff. The docks are floating docks. There are metal rings about 15 to 20 feet underwater and concrete slabs, which he wants us to tie them to. The docks themselves have metal rings sticking out from their sides. I have no idea why they were designed like this. Realistically, only one of my lifeguards beside myself can stay down long enough to tie down the docks. I end up doing the brunt of the work, but I like it. It's almost fun trying to hold myself under while trying to tie the ropes as tight as possible to prevent the floating docks from running into each other when the tide fluctuates. I'm satisfied when we finish. The docks may not be at a perfect right angle, but they are secure. The campers love them, fill the air with delighted shrieks as they dive from one floating contraption to the next. After dinner, the director calls me down to the waterfront. He wants the docks in a perfect formation he's devised. He doesn't care that he told me to set him up how I thought best. He does not care that I am bone tired. He directs me to cut the ropes he had me use to save time and then re-strap down the docks with new ropes he just bought in a new formation. He ignores my worry that the docks will float into each other. It's purely a matter of tying them down tight enough at this precise moment, right? I stifle my groan and do what he says. The next day, I come down to the waterfront. Sure enough, two of the docks are softly bumping each other with significantly more destructive force than Chinese water torture. I waited until the last day to tell him about the damage. It's only a few days, but the docks are cheap, unfinished wood. It looks like someone took an axe to the chunks where metal rings impacted into the sides again and again. I feel a bit bad about future campers, but seeing the look on his face as he realized he'd have to explain to the owners of the camp why their brand new docks were already damaged was priceless. I'm sure he blamed the damage on me instead of taking the fall. I don't care. Just knowing he knows is enough. And our next story. Please sit with my bird on your lunch hour. I was a teenager working at Circlet City, and at the time, we still got commission. I was very good at what I did and was banking every weekend. However, when I came in on Friday afternoon, I started being in the negative. It happens, people return stuff, but it started to become a lot, so I asked to see what happened to all the items, and some of them were moved to my manager's account because she saved the sale. When I asked what this meant, she told me they came back to ask a question about the item, and I wasn't there, so she had to deal with them, and now it's her commission. This didn't sit well with me, at all. Being the store manager, she also brought in her obnoxious parrot that had plucked all its feathers out, having to deal with this bee at home. She asked that we sit with it on our lunch hour to keep it company. Nobody did. It's an ugly bird that wanted to snuff it, but didn't have any arms or fingers to hold a gun and pull the trigger to end its miserable life with this C word. Anyway, the thing you have to know about Circlet City at the time is it had competitors that it hated. It was mandatory that you hate them as well. We had 20 to 30-minute hate meetings before our weekend shifts to cement our hate in our competitors. My manager loved these meetings, and her most hated local company was BrandSmart. After a few more weeks of coming into negative commission, I was going to quit the job. However, I was first going to sit with that bird. I was going to talk to it. I was going to talk to it till it talked back to me, no matter how long it took. 5 hours of saying BrandSmart to that bird's face in different tones of voice it spoke. I was never so happy my entire life. Hearing the screech of that woman's voice yelling, "Who the F taught my bird how to speak?" was the most satisfying thing I've ever heard. A few months later, I went there to visit and she was gone. I was told she went crazy and they had to let her go. I sincerely hope I had some part in that. Anybody else getting 1984 vibes? It was very much like that. I think they thought of that book as an instruction manual on some level. And our last story. I'm buying our childhood home. When my dad died, he left the house my brothers and I grew up in to the three of us and our mom. By then, it had already been a rental property for 18 years, so none of our family was living in it. Over the last 5 years, my elder brother keeps complaining that he doesn't have any money. In the last year, he's decided that he wants to be bought out of the house we jointly own. But he wanted way above the market rate, $180,000 instead of $110,000 for his share. Mom, my younger brother, and I offered him the market rate price only. He refused and secretly contacted a solicitor and sent us all a notice that he would be forcing the sale if we didn't give him the price he wanted. We tried to compromise, but he said that he didn't care about the property, sentiment meant nothing to him, and he just wanted the cash. In the end, the three of us bought him out for a price between his asking price and market value. He's barely spoken to the family since. My mom started worrying that when she passes, she's in her late 80s, the same issue will come up again. So my younger brother and I suggested that we buy out her share, leaving the two of us as the only owners. The sale went through, and when he came to my grandson's birthday party, my sister-in-law must have told him. He's furious and rang our mom screaming at her and saying that he's been excluded from family decisions and we're purposely cutting him out. He told her that he won't speak to her ever again unless me and younger brother apologize to him in person. I really don't think we did anything wrong. And if he's guilting mom, then he's the a-hole actually. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.